It's crazy to me, but this is my 60th video. 60! I started September 19th. It's December, what, 8th, 9th, 10th? I don't know. It's a Monday night. There's Monday Night Football. I want to be watching football tonight, but I'm making a video. Because if you do a little something each day, or a lot of something, it adds up. I think this is my 45th video in a row. I'm making 100 videos in 100 days. I'm thrilled. It took me 3 years to even start this. I would look up all this different advice on YouTube, which you're doing now with comedy. And the advice was great, but ultimately you have to start. I want to cover in this video. So anyways, thank you all for your encouragement in the comments. That means so much to me. And I love answering questions in there because sometimes I get ideas for videos. I get to interact with you and find out what you want to know. One such comment came from my last video, the one about Chris Fleming. Somebody asked, I mentioned trying not to sound like a comedian on stage. And they wanted to know what I meant by that. I mean two things by it. One is standing out, so that if you're on a showcase of 10 comics, you will be unique, very different from everyone else. A Chris Fleming is like that. The older comics, you saw it especially, everybody was different. It's like rap music. Back in the day, De La Soul was nothing like Public Enemy, was nothing like Rakim, was nothing like Boogie Down Productions or the Beastie Boys, all those great rap groups. With comedy, you see a lot of similar styles. So if you're able to break free from that, you're automatically going to stand out. And I don't mean with like cheap gags or something like that. Something that's authentic to you, that is amplified on stage. The other way, which I'm normally talking about in terms of thinking like a comic or sounding like a comic, is oftentimes comics, whether they're new or even in the game for a long time, they'll use certain stock phrases. It's not hack, but it's considered stock. It's been done a million times. It's very familiar to the audience. And we rely on it sometimes for crutches, mainly in the setup. Here's what I'm talking about specifically. Saying to the audience, I know what you're thinking. How many watch any open mic or go on YouTube and watch people that aren't like uber successful, just a random comic. A lot of them will say that. Hey, I know what you're thinking. Another one is, my mom is this nationality, my dad is this nationality, so that means it's that formula. Once Jim Gaffigan said that his dad was German and his mom was Elton John, I think that's the tippy top of where you can go with a formula premise like that, because he flipped it on its head. There's also things like asking the comic, hey, have you heard about this? You don't need to ask them if they've heard about it. Assume that they have, or if it's kind of niche, explain it to them a little bit. There was a good portion of time where people were kind of modeling themselves after Jerry Seinfeld. And then Jerry Seinfeld's act became almost, people would make fun of that. Who are these people? So those are the types of things that I'm saying, try not to think or write or sound like. And that's not a shot at Jerry Seinfeld. I mean, he's amazing. But you want to get away from those things that telegraph to the audience, I'm doing a stand-up set. The things that they've heard a million times. As I always say, audiences are sophisticated now. People today have seen way more stand-up than they did in the 80s or the 70s. I mean, can you imagine? You'd have to be at a show, and there weren't tons of comedy clubs back then, or the 60s. You'd have to be at a burlesque show or a hippie coffee shop for a poetry night. There's a whole number of those little phrases that we use that once you spot them, you'll realize, oh, yeah, I shouldn't. This makes me sound like every other comic. Here's a good story. My friend, we worked together on Blue Collar or Die. It was Funny or Die's sister site. They had Skate or Die with Tony Hawk. They had Funny or Die that Will Ferrell was the head of. That was the first one. And then they did Blue Collar or Die. It was Larry the Cable Guy, Jeff Foxworthy, Bill Engvall. I was in charge of all the creative stuff. We had, I think, 5 writers, including me, when we started. Interesting side note, 2 of the writers were the singer Kenny Rogers' sons. And it wound up getting whittled down to just me and this guy, Sean Tweedley, a hilarious comic from Canada. Look him up. He's not on social media much, but he's one of the funniest people I know. So he tells me the story how there's this old-time comic still doing the clubs, and his material was so planned out, and it became such a routine and so stale for him that he had to say everything, regardless of how his act was doing in that particular night, in that particular show. So he'd always get to this one part of his act, and he'd say, hey, you laugh, but... And sometimes the joke prior to it would bomb, but he would still say, hey, you laugh, but... So it's just, I don't know why that makes me laugh so much. So yeah, cut those little things out. Write down in the comments, instead of me trying to come up with all the examples, write down in the comments some of the things that you've heard comics say. You know, the standard lines that we use that, like, I don't know, asking the crowd anything is usually not great. Like, utilize that if they're starting to talk amongst themselves or get distracted. By asking them something that's basically rhetorical, you can pull them back into paying attention. Like, don't you hate it when blah, 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 instead of, do you guys hate this? What do you think? Am I right or wrong? Don't, like, asking them those questions are going to make them think they should start answering you. And then you might have full-blown chaos, and people think they should talk and can talk, and then they'll start heckling you. It's not a lot of fun. So, short video. I do want to bring up one other thing. The Chris Fleming video. This is, like, again, going back to one of my earlier segments. I don't want to keep saying the word video. One of the earlier pieces that I did, facing obstacles. When you're focused on the goal, the obstacles become kind of irrelevant. So I finished up the video last night. I had 2 clips that I was showing from Chris Fleming. And I upload it. I wind up watching a movie on Netflix, and I go to check on my channel if there's any comments so I can respond to them before I go to bed. And I see there's 2 copyright strikes on the video. And one of them means it's blocked, that nobody can view it. I'm like, I make a video every day, and I can't. It was 12:30 at night. I'm like, I got to figure this out. What do I do? So I'm going through it. The Elton John song, there's a copyright claim on that. Understandable, even though it was super short. And that was fine because the channel's not monetized. I think if it is monetized, they would just take the revenue from that video, which is fine. I don't care about that. The other one was a TikTok reel from, it must be from Chris's special that's on, I think it's on Peacock, by NBC Universal. So I'm like, this has blocked it. It was on his Twitter page. I'm doing something positive. I'm promoting him in a sense. I'm holding him up as a great example. And it said I could edit it. I could download, I could delete it or re-upload without that part in it, or try to edit it on YouTube, which I don't really know how to do. I did that one time before. But I said, hey, I have to get a video out. Oh, this is the other option. I could challenge it. And I said in the video, hey, YouTube algorithm, this is fair use. I'm just using it for instructional purposes. I'm not saying anything negative. It's only 1 minute and 30 seconds. It was a very funny clip. Go to his Twitter page, his X page. He's got tons of great stuff, not just stand-up, but little sketches, him sitting in his car, talking about things. He picks the weirdest subjects, which I really love. I'm not going to dispute anything. So I went back and I edited it, and there were a bunch of things that didn't make sense because I said I'm going to show 2 clips, and said to take that out, and ultimately it took me maybe half an hour, and the video was fine exactly the way I put it up. I didn't need both clips, and I was able to work around it. So again, I want to stress the message that I had in another video. Don't let things become a big deal for you. Adapt, overcome, work around it. Focus on your goal. My goal is to have 100 videos in 100 days. I have, like I said, probably 45 in a row that I've done, maybe more. That's my goal. My goal is to tell you everything I know about stand-up. And I've hit point, and now this video is getting long. I've hit points where I was like, I don't want to do this tonight, or nobody cares. What's the point? And I pushed through it, and now I'm reinvigorated. Think about your act. Think about your career. Yeah, it sucks going to open mics sometimes. You don't feel good. You don't want to deal with the politics. You don't want to deal with that one comic who's been spreading a rumor about you. You don't want to deal with the apathy of your fellow comedians who've seen you go up 20 times now and do the same material. But you know you have to change one word and see how that goes in the next open mic. So go out and do that. You have to worry about yourself. Focus on yourself. You're up there for a reason. And you're up there to have fun. And that's what these videos are for me. I'm here for a reason. I'm having fun. And now, once I'm done editing this, I'm going to watch the rest of the game with Bingo and Willie and drink my decaf coffee because I'm old now. And I used to make fun of people that drank caffeine and would stay up all night. They're like, I can't have caffeine past 5 o'clock because I will be up all night. That happens to me. I drink half calf because my balance disorder, so I can't have too much caffeine anyways. But if I even have a half calf past 6 p.m., I'm up till 4 in the morning. And you can't live like that. Not at my advanced age. All right, that's it. I'll see you tomorrow with another video. Have a great day. And leave comments. I really like them.